cozy down here. Hello friends, how are you doing today? How many things are you doing right now? Right, let's think about this consistently, right? How many things are you doing right now? Because I imagine if you listen or watch, you're probably doing more than one thing. Second screening, as they call it in Gen Z, is not a new thing. It has been a thing since the 80s, since the 90s, whether you were sat at your wooden table eating a venison. Why would you be eating venison? We're paupers. Eating your cow, beef, whatever you've got hold of. Veggies probably. Eating potatoes. Let's go with potatoes. You sat eating potatoes, which we all love, apart from those of us who are allergic to them. I'm not. And you were reading a book by candlelight, That's second screening, as they call it. You're eating and reading. You progress that forward a little bit. You're listening to music whilst you ate dinner. Are you second screening? Or are you simply multitasking? Multitasking was a big thing. The 80s loved multitasking. They were all about the multitasks in the 80s. They wanted us to do more of it. Do two things at once. And then realized that led to somewhat diminished returns. Even the 90s. The 90s, I feel like, was probably where it really took hold. The image of the family, the TV dinners. That's a big image. That's a propaganda image. It was the nuclear family clasped around a fluorescent screen. Were they engaging with one another, or were they engaging with the media? Some of my best memories are watching films and TV with my mum and my dad. One very vividly. I was sick. Homesick from school. And nothing to do in the day. Couldn't really do anything. So my dad decided to watch an afternoon film. He's a shift worker. So his hours were sporadic, but he happened to be home. Decided to watch an afternoon film. And we watched this film called Sneakers. And Sneakers was a movie essentially about robbers. There were people who broke into locations and then blackmailed the people at those locations by saying, hey, we found all the flaws in your security system. Now pay us, and we will fix all of those flaws, and we will make it so nobody else will be able to break in. Very intriguing film. Good memory of my dad, But we were sat around a television screen. What more could you want from them? But this idea of doing one thing and doing another. Back to this. Right now. You might be eating food. You might be out for a walk. You might be cooking dinner. You might be at work. You could be working and listening to this. More power to you. But the idea of doing one thing whilst doing another is very human. Which is interesting. Because right now it has a bad impression, right? It has a bad impression that the youth can't concentrate. They can't concentrate on one specific thing. They can't get on board with the idea of a subject just being a subject. It's why all those TikTok videos have satisfying things happening next to them. You'll have someone talking like this. We'll be talking, chatting, and then there'll be a clip right in front of you, which will just be doing something else. Someone may be making a cake, chopping up soap, running a speed run in a game. That's what it'll be. And we can't understand it. We can't. And yet, we have built society on the progress and the fact that human beings can do two things at once. We love doing two things at once. I actually think, and this is my premise, maybe the premise of the episode, I think human beings are wired to problem solve and create whilst doing something else. And where did I have this premonition? Where did I come up with this idea? I haven't come up with it. It's probably not a new idea. I'm just re-explaining it. As most of this podcast is, there is nothing profound here. I came up with this whilst running. And I've said this before. I posted a thing a long while back. I think it was maybe when I was on Twitter, or maybe when I moved over to Threads, or whichever it was. The most annoying thing about doing exercise is how long it takes. It takes a long while to do exercise, to do it regularly, to do it properly. Once you get in that rhythm and that routine, even then, I run occasionally. I've never met my real goal of 3 times a week consistently for a year. Never met that. But twice a week, maybe once a week, last couple of weeks, that's been my life. But I used to run on a treadmill, and that was fairly consistent, and dear God, it's boring. Anyone who runs knows this. It is the most boring thing, because you're only doing one thing. And once your body's figured out how to do that one thing, apart from you mentally thinking to yourself, we have to keep going. If we don't keep going, we will die. If we die, we don't keep going. It's a vicious cycle. Apart from telling yourself time and again, keep going. You've done this before. You know you can do this. You have done it last week. This is no different. You just happen to be a little bit tireder. Apart from that, you have a lot of time with your thoughts. A lot of time with your thoughts. I used to watch TV. I used to watch Bob's Burgers and different TV shows. I think I watched all of Third Rock from the Sun during the pandemic on the treadmill. And your brain has time. It has time to go through all the things. In between the gasping, screaming, and going, I fucking hate myself. All of that. You have a running commentary in the back of your head of every idea going on. I'd be at the gym, have an idea. And someone said you could shout those ideas out. That's a bad idea. That is a bad idea. You should say them into your voice out whilst running. No. Because I don't want a voice note, which I play back and is me going, okay, so it's concrete, it's concrete dipped in wax, something to do with the Industrial Revolution, and maintaining humanity within that, and oh my God, I'm gonna fucking... I don't want that. You don't want that. I apologize for this moment in the podcast. Nobody wants that. But I have the idea, which means as soon as I get slow to a pace where I can type, I'll write something down. I have to do that, and if I don't do that, I'm going to forget it within 20 minutes. It's gone. I've already forgotten 2 ideas what I had running this morning. This was one of the ones which I managed to save. Can you believe that? But I was running. I was running and thinking to myself, and I was listening to music. I was doing 3 things at once. Top that, Gen Z. I was doing 3 things at once. Body's doing all kinds of stuff. Brain's doing other kinds of stuff. And I'm listening to music, and music's very inspiring. Music's very inspiring. It's a very good way of just having different ideas presented to you, different sentences presented to you. That's the key thing. People say music's inspiring, and they're like, oh, it's the sound, it's the energy. I'm like, yes, it is. But it's also the words, the phrasing, the things which get said in between the notes. The notes themselves can give you fantastic inspiration and fantastic feeling, but the lyrics as well give you all that. And if you're listening to a whole album, you're getting a whole barrage of that. And if you're listening to a shuffle playlist, you're not only getting a barrage of that, you're getting a barrage of different opinions presented in different ways from different people, all worded slightly differently. How is that not going to make your brain do things? Who people listen to music to shut off? I don't know how to do that. I listen to music to shut on. I read books to shut on. I can't turn off to read a book. A book can't turn me off. Movies, I need chemicals to turn me off. That's bad. I wouldn't recommend that. It's not a good way of dealing with life. Back to the point. But I had this idea whilst running. And it just gave me this really tranquil moment of thinking, this is how humanity works. We have problems every single day. And we exist in a society, and in a reality, and this has been true since the dawn of man, is we'll exist in moments where we don't really have thinking time. that moment to sit down and, right, what are we doing with this? How do we solve this problem? And unless you're in an industry which is requiring that, thinking time is mixed. I work with a lot of engineers, coders, people who create through code, and it fascinates me. And we have these conversations about productivity, and I think it's fascinating. And if you read any book on productivity and how to get the best out of people, nowhere in those books does it mention restricting their personal freedoms, restricting anything they can do to make them focus on work. And I've been in industries where that is the key. That's the whole retail thing. Get off your phone. You're at the pub. Why is the waitress on their phone? Why is the chef listening to music? It's ruining my dinner. It's ruining your dinner. Really. It's keeping them alive. It's keeping them from throwing a plate at your head. It's giving them something which isn't the task at hand. But also, the task at hand is just something they're doing. They could have lives. They could have lives. They do have lives. They have lives outside of that world. Families, responsibilities, problems. Things they're trying to solve constantly. And that's the beauty of it. This is why I think humans are wired this way. I think we're wired to need to have something else to do whilst we're coming up with solutions. The thing we have to do doesn't have to be, soul draining or anything. People will say that you need jobs. You need jobs, you need structure. No, you don't. What you need is something which exhausts the resources of your brain. Something which engages you at such a degree that you're basically unable to prevent your brain problem solving. It clears everything out. I think this is why I like running. I hate running. Let's be real about this. I hate running. The whole process annoys me. It takes so long. I feel dreadful doing it. I know it's good for me, so that's why I'm doing it. Same reason I'm eating veggies. But it clears the brain. Which means when the brain gets hold of the latest problem, the latest intrinsic worry or anxiety, it's in peak mode. It's processing at full power. Because you're running. Your body has no choice but to keep running. Which means all your factory brain settings are going, hey, you better keep running, because if you don't, you'll fall on your face. And then what? Then you'll be injured and in pain. You don't want that. Keep running. And all those thoughts about, what did I see on the news this morning? What did that person say to me? I wonder how I look during this. I wonder how it feels to be this. What's this? Oh no. What colour should the settee be? How am I going to get that couch out of that room? All those things. If they are really non-consequential to you, in that moment, they drop to the side. What am I having for dinner? You could be trying to solve that for hours. Go for a run, come back, you'll know what you want. You will know what you want. Because it all just comes together. And I was listening to music this morning and going for this run, and it suddenly came to me that this is how we're doing it. I don't know if I believe in a subconscious or anything like that. I think you have your conscious mind and it's just doing amazing things. It's working its way through everything. I don't believe that dreams mean things in symbolic moments, because I think the imagination is responsible for those things. But I do think he uses it as problem-solving time, because you're asleep. Your body's shut down. So the real problems, they're going to float to the top. They're going to float to the top and your brain's going to try and solve them. But because you're asleep, it doesn't have full control over, what is real and what is not anymore. So maybe being chased by that giant worm does mean something. But on the other hand, maybe you were just thinking about worms that day. Obviously, I'm not saying go for a run. Not everyone can go for a run. What I'm saying is, it is okay to be engaged with other things. I think we feel a lot of guilt about things when we don't give things our full attention. And I think it's different if you're at a show, right? If you go to a show and you see a live performance, you should be giving that 100% of your attention. Not least because you paid to be there. Same with the cinema. You go to the cinema, you should be watching that movie, not on your phone. But when we're in our home lives, we are surrounded by the problems and nice things which we have and bring into our homes. So allowing yourself some freedom to multi-do and multi-think is actually very beneficial to you. Not something we should be hiding away from. Maybe running's not your thing, but maybe cleaning is. Maybe cleaning's your thing. Solving things through cleaning. I've seen that a million times. When my grandfather passed away, granddad, rather. We're not a grandfather family, we're a granddad family. When he passed away, my gran was grieving. She was grieving hard. We went to visit her, and she was cleaning. She was cleaning out everything. Emptying rooms, item by item. Just wanted everything organized. And sure, she was distracting herself from her grief. She had control. That's what she wanted. But her brain was also problem solving. It was figuring out how she was going to make it through this moment. In the end, it helped. I was with one of my exes. She used to wash the dishes when she was angry. She needed an outlet. And then by the time that happened, she fought it through, come back, and we talked. And that was the solution. It just took a moment to get through that initial push. All I can recommend is having something. Some level of activity. Some variation of that. Where you're feeling you're having a difficult moment. Or you have a problem, even if it's just a practical problem, even if it's just, hey, what am I thinking about today, and how things are going to turn out one way or another, can really help solidify the thoughts of the mind. I think as creators and non-creatives, there's often this feeling that you can't do one or the other. Right? Non-creatives, how dare they draw? How dare they write? How dare they engage that part of their mind which was more than just rudimentary doing of things? They should go play sport. Fuck that. Same way around. I'm an artist. Multidisciplinary artist, whatever you want to call it. How dare I engage in physical activity? How dare I file taxes and go out and eat things at a standard restaurant? Surely I must only be engaging with artisanal restaurants where they serve foods in small teacups and you have to eat you have to eat soup with a fork. Surely that's the only places I'm allowed to be. No. I like the mundanity. I got a Taco Bell twice a week last week. Why? Because it was simple, it was direct, it was clean. I knew what I was getting. It was one less thing to think about. It was rudimentary to the situation, and the whole process, I'm there, I'm just typing things in, I'm doing things through muscle memory, and I'm progressing the day, and that's the beauty of it. If anything, I think the activity you have, which allows you to problem solve the most, should be removed from the thing which gives you passion. I'm no marathon runner. I'm no exercise jockey. I ain't starting an Instagram account for, grahamjogs.com or metalhead movements. Goths on the go. I could do this all day. I'm not doing that because that's not what gives me passion in life. It's not what makes me feel good. It's not what the catharsis is. I'm going to make illustrations about how much I hate exercise. That's the catharsis. That's me engaging with the subject. But the subject is that I have an activity which I go and do, and it helps me think through problems by essentially not thinking. By not directly engaging with the problem, it frees up my body. It frees up my mind to work at a better capacity. All I'm saying is you can have a multifaceted life, and you can help yourself by engaging in simple things. The pandemic walk as it was called. The 20 minutes you got outside of your cell a day was more about mental health than it was about exercise. It was more about giving yourself something to do. So when you got back to your homestead, where your homestead had things you were dealing with, that was easier to deal with because you'd had some fresh air. You'd seen some different things. You'd been impacted by the other moving cogs of the world and recognized that the item you were fighting right at home might not have been as big as you thought. It might be bigger than you thought. But either way, that's problem-solving progress. That's hard to say. Problem-solving progress. And that's valuable to everybody. But I'd love to know what you think. How do you problem solve? Do you write it down? Fixate on it? Bottle it up? Never ask for other opinions on it? If that works for you, fantastic. But if you've been doing that pattern for your entire life, maybe try some other things. And tell me about it in the comments. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.